Hello friends, let us now learn some important points about the Guyton physiology. So, physiology. First, what is physiology? First important thing is about physiology. Actually, what is physiology? Physiology is a science that that seeks to explain the physical and chemical mechanisms. Physiology will help us to explain the physical and chemical mechanisms that occur in our body. So, in the physiology, it includes many types of branches, like it includes viral physiology, bacterial physiology, cellular physiology, plant physiology, invertebrate physiology, vertebrate physiology, mammalian physiology, human physiology. But right now, and there are many other cell divisions also, but right now in our lecture today we are going to mainly learn about human physiology. Here we are mainly dealing with human physiology, right? Human physiology is a science where we attempt to know the characteristics of our human body, and we will see how our human body functions. It relates to lots of things and all the organisms, it relates to all the functional characteristics, systems and everything we see in physiology. First, in the human physiology, first and foremost is about the cells. Cell is actually the basic living unit of our body is cell. The basic living unit of our body is cell. So this is a cell. Then what is an organ? Organ is presence of group. Organ is a group of cells or organ or tissue. Even if you take organ or tissue, this is if the group of cells are arranged together, then we call it as either organ or tissue. So each type of cell will have specific particular functions. For example, if you see the red blood cells, the function is to take oxygen from the lungs to the tissues. Similarly, in our blood, in our body, we have neurons. Neurons, the main function of neurons is to take information or impulses from the brain to all the parts of a body, or to take sensory information from all the parts of the body to the brain. So those are the important things about the cells. Important thing is the cells should have the ability to reproduce. They should have the ability to reproduce, and that is the reason why all we have been developed from one single cell. All of us have been developed from one single cell. So the cells have the ability to reproduce. Now, if you see the microorganisms, there are hundreds of microorganisms which are living in our on our skin, in our mouth, in our gut, in our nose. There are hundreds of microorganisms, or not hundreds, you can say some trillions of microorganisms will be living on our body, and these microorganisms are also composed of cells, right? So the main unit of our human animals or any living organism is cells, right? When communities of microorganisms together live together, then it is called as microbiota. What is microbiota? When communities of microorganisms inhabit together on our body, is microorganisms which are present on our body, inhabiting together, living together as friends, are called as microbiota. For example, if you see GIT, that is gastrointestinal system, it has almost 400 to 1000 different species of microorganisms. There will be some hundreds and thousands of microorganisms, but these are just species. There are 400 to 1000 species of microorganisms present in our gastrointestinal system. So all these will live harmony with our human hosts and give us very vital functions for our requirement. So are these gut microbiota useful to us? Yes, Are they required for our survival? If you ask me, yes, these microbiota are required for human survival. How are they? This is because these microorganisms or microbiota will provide roles in nutrition, they are important in immunity, and there are many other functions which are yet being to be known or understood. So this is about the cells. Now when the cells are present, those cells will live together in some external environment, right? So that is extracellular fluid. That is the fluid which is present around the cells is extracellular fluid. Extracellular fluid is also called as internal environment of the cell. Almost in our body, human body is made up of 50 to 70% of the human body is made up of fluid, and this fluid is mainly consists of water and some other ions which can be solutes or any other substances. Almost all the fluid, this fluid which we are talking about, see, our human body is composed of 50 to 70% of it is fluid. This fluid can be either present inside the cells, which is called as intracellular fluid, or it is present outside the cells, which is called as extracellular fluid. This extracellular fluid is transported to all parts of the body as either plasma or blood. Okay, the extracellular fluid, so we have intracellular fluid and 1/3 is extracellular fluid. So among all this, about 2/3 of our body is intracellular fluid, whereas 1/3 is extracellular fluid. Now the extracellular fluid contains the ions. This contains ions and it also transports nutrients which are required for our function, for the functioning of the cells. Okay, now this extracellular fluid is also, that is the reason why this extracellular fluid in our body is also called as there is a name for it. It is called as internal environment of our body, or it is also called as milieu interior. Internal environment of our body are also called as milieu interior, because it is providing ions, nutrients, blood and everything to the whole parts of our body. And this term milieu interior is given by Claude Bernard. The scientist Claude Bernard has given this word milieu interior. These cells which are present in our body are capable of performing many functions. Okay, so if we see, we will see the differences between, now we will see the differences between the extracellular fluid and intracellular fluid. The extracellular fluid contains large amounts of sodium chloride, large amounts of bicarbonate. It contains many nutrients which are required for the cells, like these nutrients can be, it contains oxygen, glucose and fatty acids, and it also contains amino acids and others which are transported, it also contains carbon dioxide which is transported to the lungs, and it also contains some of the extracellular waste products which are transported to the kidney. So these are the many functions which are seen, these are the many components of extracellular fluid. Intracellular fluid, it contains large amounts of potassium, magnesium and phosphate. Okay, so it is necessary in transporting ions from the extracellular fluid to intracellular fluid. Okay, so this is the differences between the extracellular fluid and intracellular fluid. Then we have to learn about one more important thing, which is which is about the homeostasis. The next important thing is about homeostasis. So in our body, homeostasis is maintenance of nearly constant conditions of the internal environment is called as homeostasis. It is given by Walter Cannon, has given the term homeostasis to describe the maintenance of nearly constant conditions in the internal environment. That is, in the internal environment or in extracellular fluid there is constant conditions. That means, for example, if you take an example, the lungs will provide oxygen to the extracellular fluid, and this oxygen which is present in extracellular fluid is used by the cells, and the cells, and if you see, the GIT will provide, all the nutrients are absorbed from the gut, and these nutrients are used by the cells, and they give the waste products, and these waste products are excreted by the kidney to the outside. So this is the constant environment which is produced in the cells. Various nutrients, so in our body, various ions, nutrients, waste products and constituents of the body are normally regulated by this way. If you see, for some of the body constituents this range will be very, very small, and for some it will be very, very large. For example, normally, okay, we don't need to know about that details, fine. So this is the homeostasis, and there are powerful control systems in our body which will maintain this homeostasis, which is present in the ions, cells and also in many substances. Okay, right. Now we will learn some important points about the extracellular transport of blood and the circulatory system. So if you see, in this, first the extracellular fluid is transported in our body by two stages. First stage of movement of extracellular fluid is in the blood vessels. Second stage of movement of extracellular fluid is between the blood vessels and intercellular spaces. Okay, that is movement of blood vessels and intercellular spaces. So first, if you see the overall circulation, all the blood passes through the blood capillaries. Okay, all the blood will pass from the first there will be bigger arteries, from there it goes to the many there will be many capillaries, and from there the blood is drained into the venules. Okay, so when the person is at resting state, if the person is in resting state, almost the entire all the blood circulates in, all the blood will circulate, will complete one entire circulate the blood in 1 minute. Whereas if the person is doing some exercise or is exertion, then the whole blood will circulate 6 times. Okay, so this is one important thing. Now lots of important ions. So this is the arterial end, this is the venular end, and these are the capillaries. In the capillaries, many important ions substances will diffuse from the capillaries into the interstitial fluid, and they are taken up by the cells, and all the waste products and carbon dioxide, all of this is again taken up from the extracellular fluid into the venules. So this is how the substances are sent to all the parts of the body, and from there the substances are taken up by the body. So this is about some important points about the human body. Thank you for watching.